Right on. Bike
I
shed.
have never heard this music,
Thank
but I
you.
like it.
For the coasters, I did not take this.
Thank you, Bike Sid.
Matt, welcome to the Ride Boundless podcast.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome to LA. What
you.
is good? What is happening?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's been a wild ride, and it's been even a wild ride meeting you at Bob's Big Boy.
Bob's Big Boy Friday for the classic.
Friday for the classic car show, man.
Yeah, man. How did that work?
You know what? It's funny because I was originally came here in 2006, and it was one of the first things I discovered. I used to live in NoHo. So I would come down, and I remember taking the bus because I didn't have a car at the time. And I took a bus down to somebody's like, you need to go to Bob's. They have car shows. I was like, what? So I went down there and discovered. And it's one of my favorite things still to do to this day is come back and just go to the classic car shows. I love that spot, man.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful spot.
And of course, you and me met because you rode up on your, which was a Triumph, and I mistakenly thought it was a GS, which I'm so ashamed of myself for.
Which
and you didn't correct me. You're just like, yeah.
What? He's like, nice GS. I was like, yeah, thanks,
I was like,
man.
I used to do motorcycle reviews. And he's like, yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that, you know, a lot of people, when you ride up anywhere, a lot of people approach you regardless. Like, hey, nice bike, nice this, nice that. And some people know what they're talking about. Some people don't know what they're talking about. And it's like, I don't want to disencourage anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and not only that, sometimes I feel like it could come off like an asshole.
Right.
So like, hey, nice GS. Like, it's a Triumph, dickhead.
Yeah,
you know, like,
and which is terrible because I've owned two Triumphs, but I haven't been in that particular because you've got the travel adventure bike, but I had a Sprint ST955. So I was used to looking at like old stuff. That was an old like 2001. So yeah. But I remember when the original Tigers came out. I think they were original like 955s back in the day. But yeah, so I feel so ashamed.
No, it's all good. The adventure style bike like the Tigers or the Pan America that you're riding right now, which I want to talk about that.
Yeah, the Harley-Davidson. Yeah,
the Harley-Davidson. You know, before this, I had the GS. I had a GSA. You know, with 7.8 gallon tank. I mean, insane. To me, believe it or not, it's one of my. If you're a daily rider, it's one of my favorite bikes to have in LA. And the reason for that is because our roads are so screwed up. You know, we have the little hills and the valleys and the mountains and the alleys. You saw the alley we came in, the road's all fucked up.
And it's terrible because the roads are so well paved here. And if we had potholes, it would be much worse.
Right. And that's my point. Like these bikes, I end up riding so much more, and I'm pretty hooked. Yeah. I still haven't taken out the Pan America. I was supposed to take it out last year for. I went and saw the Canelo fight, but they were like, "You're probably gonna look cooler in a CVO Road Glide."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're not wrong. You know, you're not wrong." So that worked for that trip. But I want to take out the Pan America. How have you been liking that? You picked it up at Bike Shed, right?
You might be getting it next, actually. You might be the next guy to get it, yeah.
So
should I tell you, should we go into like the whole thing of why I'm actually in LA? And
let's talk about why you're here. Who are you?
Yes.
What are you doing here?
The man of mystery.
Dun, dun. Hold on, I got that. I think I got that.
No, that's not. From out of the shadows, he emerged.
Too much going on.
Look at the crazy. From out of the shadows, he emerges. A man that was here has returned.
We're on Angeles Crest right now. Tonight.
Nice. It's very
Turn on the
quiet.
fireplace.
So I was in LA for 13 years. I came out in 2006. I'll give you the fun nutshell version of the story. So I was here. A friend of mine, actually, I was crashing on his couch. We had been friends in high school. So we were both in theater together. And so somehow we knew, like LA was our destiny. We just knew it. So he was out here first. I went to the military in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force for 4 years, stationed in Lackland Air Force Base and then Minot, North Dakota. Shout out to both those towns. And there you go. So after I got out of the Air Force, I went back to Georgia, where I grew up in my teens. And I was there, almost got married, but didn't, came out here in 2006. And then I got a job at Helmet House. And I was there for literally for a couple months, and because I had a job back in Atlanta at a place called Motions, and it was a motorcycle store, well known. It was on Cobb Parkway 41. So I was selling parts and accessories there. Had a hookup with a guy who was the rep for Shoei, and so I'd been selling Shoeis actually pretty well at the store. And I said,
great helmets,
fantastic. I love Shoeis.
Yeah, the RF 1200s.
Shoei would like to sponsor me for what we're doing next. Please call me.
Yeah.
But so I said, I think I'm going out to LA. He said, well, I can't promise you anything, but I think there might be a job opening at Helmet House out there. So long story short, I came out here, did that. But I had a really strange epiphany when I was there. And it was, as much as I love motorcycles, because I discovered them in the Air Force, and I just realized like that was part of my destiny too. It was like somehow these moto things are going to be my destiny. I realized when I was at the Helmet House, I was like, I think I could stay here for like 20 years and have a career, but I don't really feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so left, and then actually got into stand-up comedy for 3 years. And I think I have one DVD, but you can't find it online, thankfully.
What is a DVD?
Yeah, exactly. So I played at the Comedy Store and went to Laugh Factory, and back then I doing like the bringer shows. You had to bring people to come to your.
What year was this?
This is 2000. Started in like 2007, so like 2007 through 2009.
So we probably crossed paths because I was doing comedy like 2009
Oh, really?
9 to 11 around.
Wow,
there.
yeah. So did that for about 3 years, and then I was working security from everywhere from like Warner Brothers to NBC. I worked downtown at the Wilshire Building, which is really cool because I had the keys to the top door. So I would watch in the mornings, or my shift was from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I would go up around 4:30 a.m. and watch the sunrise on a helipad that was like 46 stories up. It's this beautiful like blue into orange morning. That's fantastic.
Beautiful, yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up going to film school in 2009, and because the GI Bill had kicked in for more artistic education, college, fun stuff like that. So went to film school, graduated LA Film School in 2009, and then I got a job as a boom operator on a film called Lost on Purpose. Great guys, two friends of mine directed that, and they offered, I don't even remember how I got the job. I think I was doing like a boom op in midterms, and somebody's like, oh, he's pretty good. So that was literally my first job out of film school, was a boom operator on a featured film. So Ian and Esham Nelms were the directors for that, and they've gone on to do some really huge stuff with Mel Gibson and Orlando Bloom, and you can look them up. Those guys are awesome. They're still, I think Esham's actually still here in LA. But so I went to film school, and then while I was there, graduated, the whole story, got out, started working as a PA, boom operator, kind of just working my way around Hollywood, finding fun stuff to do. But in the back of my mind was motos, like all the time. And so I talked about it so much when I was on set. One of my friends, he's like, you talk about bikes a lot. It's a problem, but in a good way. Like, why don't you start doing moto stuff? And so I got back in touch with some of the companies that I'd briefly spoken with at Helmet House, and which led to Alpinestars and all kinds of fun stuff with gear. And then the bikes, the first company I think I got in with was Triumph. And so that just led to everything else from there. So I just went down the path and contacted, Kawasaki, Honda, Triumph, Ducati, everybody. So I got to work with everybody, and started a website called starttheride.com, which was up for a while, and then started doing video reviews on YouTube, which you can still find. Some of them are good, some of them slightly embarrassing, but the big hit was I worked with Kawasaki, and we did a video with a Ninja 1000 and a Ninja 300. And so I had a co-star in that. Her name is Heather Bonomo, and you can look her up. She's an amazing stunt person. And I think she's actually a coordinator now, but she's done some of the biggest films and TV shows in Hollywood. But I'd like to say I low-key discovered her, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. But she got her. I think she was riding like a Ninja 250 300. But we did a Kawasaki video that went on to it got almost 1 million views on YouTube. And so at the time, everybody was like, you can't make 15, 16-minute videos on YouTube. Nobody's going to watch them. And this is like back in like 2011, 12. And I said, no, I think they will, because I'm going to do this properly. And so we had a small budget, got Kawasaki to give me the bikes for like a month, shot the heck out of them, went up to ACH, did like a ride review, and that was kind of it for me. I was like, okay, going with this thing. So from there, I started working with a couple other companies. I got into video directing for myself, and then, kind of just took off from there. So,
but now that's your background, and that's amazing. But now you have this project where you're in LA right now, and there's a catch to this trip.
Yes.
What is this catch?
So the catch is 72 hours in LA. You have a small budget. I mean, small budget, and it's $400. So travel adventure vlog, which didn't intended to be a moto vlog. That's not how I started out. It was just kind of like this thing. It was I'm launching a series called Time to Adventure, and that I wanted this to kind of be the pilot-esque thing for it. But it turned into kind of like working with Harley-Davidson and Alpinestars, and them giving me gear, and they're like, "Well, you got 3 days. Go."
Shout out to Alpinestars, Harley-Davidson, and Heath.
Yes, Heath. Thank you so much. I've known Heath for a long time. He's an amazing guy. Everybody in the moto. 2011
or something?
Gosh, it's probably been like, he gave me the first gear from Alpinestars for us to do a video with. So it just turned into this thing where, like, you got 3 days, go film what you can, and they didn't give me the money, but it's like, okay, I got $400. What do I do? So I got to work with there was a Sony event down in LA. There was a pop-up event I registered for. Got to go to that, talk with Sony, and so it just turned into this really cool, amazing branding opportunity that I'm just creating. and we're editing it right now.
You made it onto the Ride Boundless podcast. Are
exactly.
you kidding? 100. This is going to be episode like 170.
Yeah.
You know,
so it's just turned into this amazing kind of opportunity and creativity where like you don't have a lot of money, but you know interesting people and just what do you do? And so we're crafting something right now that they don't even know it's coming. Yeah. But I think it's going to blow them away. So meeting people along the way, I called some people on, reached out to DM some people on Instagram. I was like, hey, I don't have a lot of money, but this is what I'm trying to put together. It's last minute. Are you down to play? And it's like 2 or 3 people got back to me and are like, this sounds amazing. What do you need? And the level of quality of their work is fantastic. And I'll share that with you when we're done with this whole thing. But yeah, it's kind of nuts, man. And today's the last day because we were actually, we'll let the viewers in on this. We were supposed to go for a ride this morning. And I just got I was going to be using the DJI Nano and the DJI mics and everything. And then it was like, oh, actually, we got to bring the Harley back earlier. And I'm like, well, shoot.
Heath.
It's not, no, it's not.
No, I'm kidding.
Not his fault, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it's, but we've got some amazing footage of that. But, yeah, man, it's a crazy, crazy adventure. Life, man.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because we had this whole day somewhat planned out. Then I threw a curveball, like, man, we could maybe do Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear. We can go stop over there and blah, blah, blah.
And the adventure guys be like, of course. And they were like, nah, timing, no. Yeah.
And then it's like, wait a minute, responsibilities and deadlines and return schedules and pickups and children. Like, oh, fuck.
I had an idea to go dark, but I was like, no, I'm just back in LA for the first time in like 3 years. That's not a good idea. Let's keep the communication lines up.
Yeah, absolutely. So what okay, tell me about the Pan America.
So here's the thing. I've tested out many Harleys. When I was doing the motorcycle reviews, I rode, it's funny, we actually did a whole video with Harley that never really saw the light of day back in the day because I forget why it didn't work out, but we had like a Fat Boy, Sportster, and then the V-Rod. It was like the latest version of the V-Rod. And so
the Night Rod Special or something.
Yeah. So I've ridden many Harleys over the years. You know, the problem with you when you ride a lot of bikes is Harley is kind of like, it's viewed as kind of the classic Cadillac, or it has been for a long time. Like, yeah, it's a mainstay, but like there's so many, you know, quote unquote better bikes out there depending on what you ride. And I've ridden over 300 motorcycles. So for me to like a Harley is really kind of impressive. And I got on this thing, and I'll tell you, the first day I had it, blew me away. And this is not like, Harley's not paying me for this. I'm not advertising for Harley. I'm not like monetarily sponsored by them. I genuinely love this bike. It's the first one I've got on that I would spend money and buy this motorcycle because everything about it, from like the torque to the automatic suspension, when you get on the bike, it sets it up. It's so comfy. When you get it out of first gear, there's no weight to it. And I think it's over, I don't know, like over 525 pounds or 30 pounds or something like that. And the one that I got came with a full luggage rack on it on the back. So over the last 3
you got the top box.
Yeah, top box, everything. So I've taken it down from LA to Costa Mesa, came back, went up to Angeles Crest. We filmed it. Like, it's an amazing motorcycle, and I don't say that lightly. It was the first Harley that I've ever ridden that I would say I would absolutely buy this bike to take it around the world and just do a lot of fun stuff with it. Yeah.
It's an insane bike. I have to give Harley, again, this is not sponsored or anything, but I have to give them props on that because, you know, I like them all. You know, I got the Triumph, I ride the BMW, I've owned a Harley for 25 years. This is, I think, the first year in 27 years of riding that I don't have a Harley.
Wow.
Like, usually I have 3-4 motorcycles. Last year I had a Livewire, the Street Glide, and the GS.
Wow.
You know, and this is the first time I don't have one. But anyways, it's not here or there. For them to enter this market of adventure bikes, they executed
it was a
well.
big swing. Let's be honest, because if you're in the community, you saw them and they're doing this. You're like, what are you doing?
Look, let me. I hate to do this comparison, but BMW.
Yes.
They bring out the R18, and I love BMW motorcycles. Right. They're fucking outstanding. They bring out the R18 to get the Cruiser.
Right.
It's
which is a hilarious bike to begin with.
It's so bad. Like, here was a comparison. I was talking to somebody about this, and they were saying the R18 is a 60% bike. It was executed 60%.
Yeah.
Like, there's still a huge gap. When the Pan America came out day one, it was like 85%.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's there, and now they're using it for the hooligan races. They're modifying it. They're customizing it. I mean, they're doing so much cool stuff with the Pan America and the CVO. Yes. Again, and I don't want to talk about the prices, but I think it's like $29,000 for the CVO.
It's cheaper if you buy the CVO than if you just got a regular Pan America and like put everything on it.
It should be that way, you know, where some of these CVOs, you know, with the markups and stuff, they're pretty high, but still,
the quality level on that bike, I gotta say, I've been riding it around for like 3 days solid, and it's just fantastic in every way. We were doing shots yesterday in Angeles Crest, and just going up a road, you know, Angeles Crest is crazy, but like that, going down on a downward angle, having to turn the bike around because we're doing a lot of video content fast, the speed and the slow maneuverability of that bike, the way that it's fantastic.
Top notch.
Yeah, it was amazing. So super happy with that bike. Yeah.
Good, man. And then Alpinestars. What are you rocking with Alpinestars?
So
what's been the gear? The helmet looks fucking kick-ass.
Oh my gosh!
Can you grab the helmet? Yeah. Put that right here. Okay, and I'm gonna. This is gonna be an editing nightmare, but let me record this too.
Yeah, so this is amazing, and I don't think I was actually supposed to get this. This is kind of one of those things like it's available, so we're giving it to you. Take very good care of it. Top of the line. And the crazy thing about this helmet is we actually shot this. I did a photo shoot at night with this thing, and it came out so beautiful. The blue and the white and the carbon on it. It's one of their top of the line race helmets. So I love this. I honestly don't want to give it back. It's so pretty. And I've had a lot of helmets over the years. AGV or
What if you lose it?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Heath would allow me to.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to tell you something since I'm mentioning what if you lose it.
Yeah.
As I'm riding out to you this morning, because we had a different plan, we're going to jump into this, but this was so fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. As I'm driving towards you, I'm on Laurel Canyon. Dude, I've lived in LA my whole life.
Yep.
My whole entire life. Okay, this shit's never happened. I mean, it's probably happened like in junior high or something. But I'm on Laurel Canyon. I get to the front at a stoplight. I'm hauling ass, and then a car in the park section pulls out on me. As he pulls out on me, I swerve a little to the left, and when I swerve to the left, there's a truck. I'm not even close to the truck. He freaks out. Once he freaks out, he comes towards me and starts merging into me like he wants to hit me.
Yeah.
Two dudes with red hats, all gangstered out. They start throwing gang signs. Wow. And I'm like, yo, calm down.
Yeah.
Some chick from the back with the gun comes out.
Oh,
and
my.
Like, what's up?
What?
And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then once we get to the stop, they're like, what's up, fool? What's up, fool? Yeah. I lift up my fucking helmet. I go, bro, that wasn't you, man. That was a car next to me. And they're like, oh, sorry, bro. Yeah, were you good? I go, bro, respect, man. Like, all good, man.
LA is a wild
And
place,
I was like,
brother.
this is the first time I had a truck swerving into me. Like, bro, it was nonsense. It was fucking tripping.
You know, what's funny about the whole thing is, the gear that I got from Alpinestars was the helmet, the gloves.
Let's show the gloves.
Yeah.
Let's show the gloves. And the jacket. I like the jacket.
The jacket is fire. I specifically requested some. I don't know what your shot is here. It's gonna be too tight. I don't know. We'll get it on the thing, but yeah. Just really like I've always liked Alpinestar gloves above everybody else's gloves. I think they're kind of the best quality in the fit. They seem to fit my hands best. And also the summer riding jacket, which is reflective at night. This amazing mesh. When I we'll have to do this properly when I cut out the video edit, but just love the lightness, the material. This also the padding and everything like that. It's great summer riding jacket. So so I got the helmet, gloves, and funny because I don't know if you remember this, but like for a long time, Alpinestars had no helmets. It wasn't a thing. So to have like one of their racing helmets is fantastic. But helmet, gloves, jacket, boots, and pants, denim jeans for the ride. So got this all, and I've turned this into an amazing the photo shoot for this and the video shoot is just they're gonna flip, and they don't even know that we're doing it yet. So it's gonna be. They just thought we're using the gear, but I'm like, nah,
yeah, that's insane.
We're gonna blow this up for you guys, and we love it. So I think they're gonna really like what we did with it.
Yeah, they're gonna absolutely love it.
But back to your, we were talking about the LA and the situations there. It's so funny. When I came in the first day I was here, I didn't have the Harley, so I had to pick it up. It was actually stored at the bike shed. So a friend of mine who I'm staying with, a roommate, I taught her how to ride a motorcycle. So we started her on a Virago 250. She's a small 5-foot Asian girl. And she was riding a Virago 250 down the 101 405 to work like long time ago. But that was her first bike experience. And so she got good with that. And then she moved up to a Ninja 300. But since she's so small, we did the lowering link suspension on it and got it down like 2 inches. So I'm riding it around for the first day I'm here because I didn't have a car. And this dude pulls up to me to compliment your story before. And Mexican guy in like an old school Chevy Silverado. So I pulled up at the stoplight. He rolls his window down. And I just hear like, hey. I look over. I'm like, hey, man. He goes, you're too big for that bike. I was like, what?
That's
He's like,
hilarious.
He goes, you're too big for that bike. I was like, yeah, I know. It's a friend of mine. He goes, yeah, you're too big for that bike. And then he takes off.
Oh, hilarious.
It was the funniest thing that's happened to me a lot. I was like, that's so interesting. So funny. Yeah.
Yeah. How far are you on the journey? So you came here with the budget.
Yeah.
You've been here 72 hours.
We're down to, I'm not kidding you, we're down to like $5 now.
Fumes.
So we have the return ticket home to Atlanta, but that's it. But that's been the crazy thing is, and I've been a video director, producer, creative director for a while, and it's one of these things where at first with the concept was like, this is like, you can't do this. This is silly. There's no way you're going to be able to pull this off. But just working with the right people and finding the right kind of creative spin on to put it in. Yeah. But I think that's part of the fun of this is, I'm not going to die tomorrow. I'm not going to run out of food. I've got people I can stay with, stuff like that. But part of what makes it difficult, and you talk to any director or producer who does stuff like this, is like you have to kind of create some sort of box. Because if I had $1 million, like it would not be fun. Like, oh, come to LA, unlimited budget. Like, of course you can do everything you want, but $400 budget with nothing, and you like, granted the gear is free and the bike is free, but gas is not, and everything else I'm doing. So, and to hire like a production team to shoot stuff and photo and video, like that's a laughable price. And I even say that at the beginning of this when I was filming it, and like, how much is the budget? Like, that's insane. But it worked out. So, and I think that's part of the fun of it is like kind of. I don't like to think like put me in a box creatively, but for some stuff like this, as far as like just the price went, it was the perfect kind of excuse to like really push the limits of what you can do. Like, okay, this is all you have, and you don't have any more, and I don't. So that's the fun part of it.
What have you learned from this experience? Because we're coming to the end of this deadline.
Yeah.
What have you learned? What have you appreciated? What piece of advice would you give anybody?
So
not even advice. What did you learn from the whole thing?
I mean, having been kind of associated and working with brands for such a long time and knowing everybody in the business, and I say this to anybody who's kind of getting into creativity now, if you're moto vlogging or travel adventure vlogging, or whatever you're doing, know your space really well. Because I do know Alpinestars as a company really well. I've been involved with the motorcycle sports industry for like a very long time. Knowing kind of what their lanes are and where they want to go, and that was the thing. So when I originally kind of talked to Heath about this, I said like, hey, here's the concept. Like it's the low budget thing as we're going to do. Harley-Davidson is kind of a position right now. I don't know if you know this or not, but they just got a new CEO.
Yeah, the Domino's, right?
I think Topgolf. He did Topgolf or something like that. So immediately to me, that's laughable. I'm like, all right, what does this guy know? But apparently there's been, and I hope I'm not giving anything away I'm not supposed to, but like kind of backdoor conversations about where they're going as a company and where they've been. So for the long time, Harley's been this like old, bar, rock and roll bar room, Daytona. Like it has a vibe, and we all know in the motorcycle community, we all know what the vibe is.
Right.
But I think they need to kind of, and I didn't say this, but it's kind of told to me like they need to kind of become like a premium brand to kind of really survive with where we're going. And I think that's kind of where they want to go. And just the fact that they kind of opened the doors to me to do this shows kind of, what they're open to. So for something like this, and such a, like, they could have just given me a Sportster, like, yeah, go have fun with this thing. But the fact that they gave me the Panamera, that kind of, like, I think speaks volumes about, like, yeah, let's see where we can go with kind of, like, new, interesting, fun stuff. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see what they do this year and in the coming years with kind of the new leadership and management. Yeah, so.
It is exciting. They're definitely, walking a thin line in the sense. I think all motorcycle companies are walking a thin line in the sense of what the younger generation wants.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is. Do they focus more on the apparel aspect? Because we're similar age.
Yeah.
There was a time in the 90s where you ride the bike or don't. You're buying Harley-Davidson boots. You're wearing a fucking Harley-Davidson belt buckle. You're doing the T-shirt. You travel. It's funny. I've done so much traveling, and this is what I concluded to. Every big city that I go to, there's a Christian Dior, there's a Louis Vuitton, there's fucking Balenciaga. Every fucking city that I go to. But not every city has a Harley-Davidson. And then I started doing a little research, and I said, you know what? There is less Harley-Davidson dealers in the world than there is Louis Vuitton stores. Meaning, a Harley-Davidson T-shirt is more exclusive than a Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
So do they focus on the apparel aspect? And this is where, I don't know. How do you get more people on motorcycles? Is the EV thing. I believe across the board with all motorcycle companies, I believe the problem is, and again, this is probably impossible to fix, but I think it's a cost issue.
Yeah.
You know, the barrier of entries to get into a motorcycle, especially a newer bike, it's so high right now. Like the live wire, let's say it's like 24,000. If that thing was like 12 or 13, I'm sure they would sell like hotcakes. Yeah. So they have to have more, and I think that's part of Harley-Davidson's, what they're trying to do, and a lot of companies, Indian, BMW, they're trying to make more intro bikes.
Yeah.
But I think the barrier of entry is so high.
Well, and I'll tell you my story real quick. The first time I ever got it, like how I got into bikes in the first place was I was in the Air Force. And when I was little, I'd always see people like running by on like ninjas and katanas and everything. I thought it was just cool. And so, but when I had the opportunity to have like a little bit more money in my life, I was like, oh, okay. And so I went to this shop in North Dakota. They had all the major Japanese brands, like Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda, Kawasaki, all that stuff. But I didn't want to spend that much money. Like even though it was my first, Air Force money, which is hilarious. If you're like an E2, like you get paid like $19,000 a year or anything. So I was looking there was a Kawasaki store right down the street. And so it was just a little mom and pop shop in North Dakota. Like, forgive me, I don't remember the name of it, but guys, they were super nice there. So he had a back room, and in the back room was a Ninja 500. Beautiful red and black. I think it was like 1990 paint job or something like that. And somebody had put a Muzzy pipe on it. So it was like extra loud for whatever the time was.
750 or something, 700.
Something like that. So Ninja 500, and I asked the guy, I said, what do you want for that? And he goes, I'll give it to you for $2,800. Whoa. So to me, that was incredible. That was like having a Ferrari for,
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I'll take two.
Exactly. So, and I was going to go buy a Suzuki Katana. Like I had made up my mind, like the 750 Katana, that's my bike. And I saw the Ninja and it changed everything. And for me, that started me down a path of like, the Ninja 500 wasn't really a Ninja, really. It was like an upright. They put the fairings on it. And it was like engine was the 498cc engine. But
so your first bike was a Kawasaki?
First bike was a Kawasaki Ninja 500, yeah. And then from there, I decided to try to learn to do wheelies because I thought I was cool at 21. Yeah, I can do this. Completely trashed the bike. It stood up on its rear tire, went away from me, and just kind of like, I remember it like it was yesterday. The handlebars shifted to the right, and the bike almost like looked back at me. I was like, you messed up now. So I was without a bike for 7 months, and then I went from there. Somebody was selling a Triumph 955 Sprint ST. That was my second bike. And that really kind of put me in the headspace of like, I think sport touring is more of my vibe and vein. And then it just kind of took off from there. So
yeah.
But to your point, that's the price point thing. I'm like, can you get into a motorcycle now if you have to buy one from a dealer and you're a young person, how much do you want to spend? Because for me, like I'm always looking at budget stuff. And even back then, and that bike was sub $3,000. Is there anything now that you can, like, what's the least amount of money you're spending on a bike out of the showroom now? $5,000, like Ninja 405, like what's the?
I mean, look, I talk about this a lot. I've said this on many episodes. If you're going to budget for a motorcycle, regardless if you go new or used, right, you got to have at least $1,000 to $2,000 just for gear.
Just for gear.
For gear. I mean, you're probably rocking a $1,200 helmet.
Yeah.
Minimum. Yeah. To top that off, then you want an intercom system. Your jacket's probably like $300, $350. Like it's insane. So I think that's one of the biggest things. If you look at the younger community, they're avoiding relationships. They're not being committed to having relationships. Yeah. They're having less kids. They're not interested in buying houses. Again, all pricing issues. They're having kids, buying a house. All that stuff is pricing issues.
Yeah.
They're not moving out of their parents' house. They're not getting their driver's license. Like if you,
this is the most baffling thing to me because when we were little, like I got to get out of the house, I got to go, and like you're telling me like. Because mom and dad aren't going to take you anywhere. Like my dad, when I was 15 and a half, took me to a parking lot at a Food Line, if anybody knows what that is. And we had a Toyota Tercel, and it was a manual, little two-door. He's like, today you're learning to drive manual car. And I was like, okay. And so after like 30 stalls, but then I got it. And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, the world is now open.
Of course.
So it's a baffling thing to me. Like kids will get a license. They're like, what are you talking about? You don't have a license.
They're moving out later. They're not getting driver's license. They don't want to buy a car. Right. They don't want to buy a house. They don't want to commit in a relationship. They don't want to have kids. They're avoiding basic things like gender role.
This is such a big social commentary discussion about what's going on.
Let alone you're trying to figure out how to sell these guys motorcycles.
Yeah.
And let alone the ones you do convince to get a motorcycle, like 90% of them can't afford them.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming this like luxury item thing. So what's the angle here?
And I think that's the thing with me is I think I always go back to used. It's funny, I'm launching my own media company this year. My website is anointedforsuccess.com, but we're kind of launching 3 different shows this year with pilot stuff. One of the series we're working on is called Time to Adventure. So it's about wristwatch adventures. And so one of the big thing with me was I was starting to get into all the 3 or 4 years ago when I started this, like looking into the backstory of the watches and like why some of them are so expensive. Like, what do you mean there's a $7,000 watch? Like, why in the world would I ever pay? Starting to get into the culture and learn all about stuff, but it kind of translates back to cars and motorcycles. So my mental mentality now is if it costs more than a used motorcycle, I can't buy it. Like I can't mentally, my mind can't go there.
Right.
But that's the thing is like my story is like, can you get into the market now for a bike for $3,000? So it goes back to the used market. So let's say you were looking at like you really wanted a Harley-Davidson or a Honda or a Triumph or Ducati. I think you don't start at the showroom. I think you start going back, looking at what was popular 7-8 years ago, what still holds up, what holds its value, what was mechanically sound. And that's when everybody asks me about that stuff, because people ask me all the time, like, what bike would you recommend? Like, and I say, like, start with a Honda, start with a Kawasaki, like 400, 500, and go from there, because your barrier of entry is so low with cost. You can spend more on gear. So if you're going to commit $5,000 to something, get a $2,500 motorcycle. And what's crazy now is the stuff that we thought was so expensive and crazy, like 9, 10 years ago, is now like $3,000. So I was just in Atlanta and I was looking at stuff online. My gosh, the stuff I found was like ST 1300s for $2,900. Like, that's insane. You understand how well that motorcycle is built? And it was over in Europe for a long time. They were using those police bikes. Like, you could have that bike and you could tour the world on that thing, and you could get like amazing gear, and you'd be still like under $5,000, stuff like that. So yeah, I always go back to
that. Should be an episode. Try to get motorcycle and gear.
I'm telling you, for $5,000, I'm telling you, it's very possible. And that's the thing is, like, just having been in the game for so long, the research, and you know what bikes were good and what bikes were bad. And so that's just what I always go back to is what was out like 8 years ago that was amazing, that still holds up, and you find somebody with a low miles bike, and like, there you go. So I know that's an oversimplification, but
no. I get that. I want to state a quick fun fact that I just found out recently about watches. Richard Mille. You know how their pricing came about?
Yeah, trust me, I've done a black hole. But if you want to tell your audience, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you word it. I mean, that's your world.
No, the funny thing with that to me is, like, not even to get into Richard Mille as a brand, but the design aspect element of watches over, cost association. This is the whole thing. Like, the conversation that happened with Rolex was like, why would you go into a store and then you couldn't buy a watch? And this was like the big thing was like, oh, you go into a Rolex store and you can't buy. What do you mean you don't have it here? Oh, well, we sell them, but you can't have this one.
Right.
We got to like, okay, you know what, dickhead, we're not buying from you. That.
Right.
But to me, the fascinating thing is kind of getting into the higher end culture stuff like that with the Richard Mille and the racing and the ties in with Formula One and everything like that. That's really kind of where I get excited about kind of the marketplace cross-play and stuff like that, because it's just the stories are so deep, man, with these brands. They go back hundreds of years.
They're insane. But do you know how their pricing came about?
The specific pricing of Richard Mille?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
They put an ad for $15,000.
Okay.
They accidentally fucked up and put extra zeros, and it was for $150,000, and they sold.
That's so weird.
They sold, and it's such a crazy story that I'm actually going to hook up ChatGPT and confirm it.
Okay, do it.
What was the story with Richard Mills of how they messed up on the pricing and they added extra zeros?
Careful,
and they went and they hold on, because if we're talking at the same time, it's
Richard Mills, known for their ultra high-end luxury watches, once gained attention when an error led to a watch being listed with an extra zero, dramatically inflating its price. The mistake caused a brief stir, especially since Richard Mille watches are already priced in the hundreds of thousands. Once the error was caught, it was corrected, but not before it highlighted the extreme nature of pricing in the ultra-luxury market and the attention any deviation from normal draws.
So it created a blueprint of their pricing, and people wanted it. People were like, what? That's crazy. And then they started selling it, and that's why they started selling so expensive. by an error of adding a zero.
Yeah, and I've gotten into I'm really heavy with history on this because I've been developing the show now for really almost 3 years, and I'm at the point now where it's just like we've connected with all the right people to do it. But when you some of these stories that go back, Tag Heuer. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, but LVMH just did a major deal last year with Formula One, and so LVMH is
they've always had a Formula One deal, right? Tag Heuer.
Tag Heuer used to be in Formula One, and then they were out, and then Rolex came in as the official quote-unquote time sponsor. But now they're back in. So the LVMH deal, they had the umbrella company brand, and Tag Heuer was part of that whole thing. But that history of racing with the chronographs and Heuer before it was Tag Heuer and everything like that, it's a massively fascinating journey about motorsports and time, and like how time used to be kept before like everything got really crazy with digital, and like the idea that you could keep time with a race with an analog watch or a stopwatch nowadays blows our minds. But back then it was just commonplace.
Yeah, it's caveman talk.
That's push button. Yeah, but that's kind of the whole thing. I love the fascinating history behind all this stuff and how all this kind of cross markets into everything that we love, like motorcycles. Triumph Motorcycles and Breitling have a really interesting collaboration that they came out with. Just all kinds of that fun stuff, just the history behind all these companies and their marketing. And that's really kind of even why we're talking about this stuff today is why, I mean, I know why I get into it, but like, why did you get into motorcycling? And some form or fashion, it was marketed to you in some way. It might have been somebody was going down the road and they had on cool gear or a cool bike, or you saw it on a TV show or a movie. You saw Top Gun, like the GPZ with Tom Cruise rocking the lights. The marketing for motorcycles, and then with the combination of wristwatches now that I'm getting it, is just, it's so insane. I love it. I love all of it.
Yeah, it's funny because you're talking about time and watches, and I'm thinking clocks and stuff like that. I'm remembering like, the 90s or something. If your power went out that night, your clock was wrong time. You're late to school. You had to call. Remember that number you had to call?
Yes,
Pacific Standard Time at the tone of the beat was 9:53. If your battery went out, whatever. Like we realistically, this was my conclusion. We didn't even know what time it was.
Right.
If our watch was off, we had no idea.
If you had a $20 Casio, you were safe, because that thing would run for like 8 years, no problem. Those
with
little
the calculator,
F91, that was little F91.
Yeah, those were amazing. They lasted forever. But like realistically, we had no idea what time it is. We were literally walking down the street. Hey, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it?
Well, not to get too nerdy on this, but that's actually why we have standardized time in the United States, is because when the railroad came in, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when we developed the railroad system that went across the United States, that's when standardized time had to become a thing, because you could be in a town 30 minutes north, south, east, or west, and they had a completely different time zone than you. You just didn't know it. So stuff was being shipped on rails back and forth, and nobody knew what technically time it was going to arrive. And it eventually led to accidents with trains. So trains, because they wouldn't switch the tracks, would be running into each other and killing people. And there was I don't remember the specific date, but there was one that happened in either Kentucky or it was Indiana or something like that. And it killed 9 people. And that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. And after that, the stopwatch company,
that's
pocket watch companies.
Only 9 people?
Well,
I thought that'd go on for...
there have been a lot more crashes, but this particular one, they went, okay, that's it. And so whoever the pocket watch company at the time said, okay, we're creating a standardized time across the U.S. so we can keep track of all this stuff, because we kind of have people running into each other with trains and killing each other. And so because of that, the East Coast, West Coast, Central Time, that's when all that stuff got developed way back in the 1800s. So, yeah, it's a fascinating stuff.
Back to your journey.
Yes.
Which this is all part of what you're doing.
Yeah. It's all
my question, what I want to know that I think my listeners would want to listen to, has it been easy? Have people been welcoming? Have people been jerky? Have people been flaky? Like coming here with such a low budget and doing what you're doing, is it easy? Is it easy only for your connections? Do you think it'd be easier if you did it 20 years ago and didn't have the connections, but you were younger?
It would have been impossible, I think. Because I just turned 45. And so luckily I have kind of a mainstay of people in my Rolodex if that's even a word for young people, Rolodex. Look up what Rolodex is. Contactless on our phones. But I had a couple of connections that I knew it could kind of work out. And LA is just one of those interesting places where there's just interesting things happening here, but there's also the ability to do things. And I think you could have done them 20 years ago, but the connections wouldn't have been the same. So, for the most part, it's been kind of, I wouldn't say easy, but kind of like, because a lot of people, I didn't tell people the budget. I was just like, hey, I've got a 72-hour adventure trying to pull it off. And they're like, that's pretty cool. So, and I think it's the combination of what we talked about with kind of Harley-Davidson, and they're kind of open to trying new stuff right now. But the idea of trying to put something together for like a high-end production look, if you talk to anybody who's in production that knows production, that's ridiculous. But I came from like kind of a commercial video directing, producing background, so I know what the look is. I know what I was trying to accomplish. I'm like, yeah, I think, we can pull this off. It'll work. But for the most part, it's when you tell people like we met at Bob's Big Boy, and I told you what I was doing, and you're like, that's fantastic, and we clicked really well. But I would say overall, the journey to get here was not easy, and I think I shared this with you personally the other day. It was like I had a major fallout 3 years ago with a lot of people, and something that we were supposed to originally launch Time to Adventure 3 years ago, and the guy that was going to pay us for the entire show, the contract. We found out he was trying to screw us on the back end for like $220,000, and the contract was for like $1.8 million to launch the show. And he was a watch collector, so we're like, this is a fantastic fit. He's a great guy, and everything checked out on paper. But we accidentally intercepted an email from him and his broker, and he had been working with a broker for a long time. They're like, yeah, we're gonna loop this in the contract at the end and take these guys for like $220,000. Me and my producer found out, and that broke our hearts because we're like, oh my gosh, like this sucks. So that initially sent me back like almost $90,000. So to the point where, and after that, I was trying to find work to try to make up for it. And I sent out 350 resumes, and I couldn't get a job. And this is back in 2022. So
yeah, it's like in the middle of COVID and stuff.
It was a little bit after that, but still, it's like, and it was weird because I'd shot all these little video commercials. So I thought I was going to get a lot of work, and then nothing. So it was almost like I was weirdly unemployable for a long time. I was like, what is going on? But I can tell you that the journey that came out of that, the focus to kind of sharpen up and develop what is now, we're going to launch this year with my media company, that was painful but worth it. And I think that actually needed to happen to me because I was so ready to go back then. And this is only 3 years ago, but I was so focused with this. I was like, this is the way this is going to do. And it's changed so much since then. But what's come out of that is more ideas, more kind of globally focused marketplace stuff, travel, adventure, sports, all this kind of fun, all these kind of cross-marketing ideas. And that as painful as that was, I wish it had happened to me earlier in my life, but I didn't get started in this business until I was almost 30. And so now really like this is kind of like an 8 to 9 year run to get to this point where it's ready to go now. But I think it's easier when you're younger to have a major setback. When you're in your 40s and you get hit like that, and it's just like, is anybody ever going to trust me again? Like I told him I was doing this show. Is this going to work or not? Like, is anybody really going to have faith in me again? And the answer is yes. Like you come back and you're like, this is kind of part of life's journey is you have to get hit with this stuff, because if you never get hit with anything big, really, how do you know what you're made of? What's that famous quote from Fight Club? If you've never been in a fight, like, how do you know? I forget the actual thing. Like, how do you know what you look it up? If you've never been in a fight, what do you know about yourself or something like that? And so that happened to me. If I can, you can pull it up on ChatGPT.
Yeah, what's that quote from Fight Club?
If you've never been in a fight, what do you really know about yourself or something?
The quote you're thinking of is, how much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight?
Yeah, there it is. And so, yeah.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah. As painful as that all was, and it's kind of, I'd like to call this like the comeback tour, really. But yeah, and this is a great way to do it. Just kind of being able to work with these brands and like meeting people like you along the way. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is really cool. So,
I mean, you can almost say, tell me if you agree with this.
Yeah.
You can almost say you made this happen. It took your whole life to make this happen.
I would not disagree with you. Yeah, and it's also too. I believe in divine timing. That's a big thing with me. I was raised Christian, and I think this is one of these things where it's called Kairos time. And so literally there are pockets of window in time where things are happening right now that they're never going to happen again. So it couldn't have happened in the past, and it's not going to happen in the future. And so this year is one of those moments, like it's a Kairos moment in time where things are happening now that are supposed to happen, and your whole life literally has been leading up to this point. And so just to talk about what we were saying earlier is like in the last 3 days that I've been here, I have met people that have been in LA for a long time that I've never connected with, and bam, 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 bam. In fact, I have a meeting before I leave to get on the plane tomorrow with somebody who's like an agent manager that was just like, wait a second, like what are you doing? Why do I not know you? And they've been here for 15 years, and I never met with them before, never talked to them. So it's just one of those things where it's divine timing right now. Things are happening and just this amazing, and you just have to be ready for it. And luckily right now I am. So
2 questions more. One would be, what has been the biggest disappointment that you were like, oh fuck, I never would have expected that, but that took place. And then vice versa. What's the
for this
biggest
trip
surprise?
or like in
for
life?
this trip? No, for this trip.
For the trip, we had an issue with so I was supposed to get a DJI Nano, and that was part of the Kid Adventure thing. Is I had a company that was sending me a DJI Nano, and they said it was going to be here first day, and I didn't get it until this morning. So, and so now you got to return the Harley-Davidson, like we did shooting with all this stuff, and like how do we? So the workaround was like, how do I shoot with my iPhone? And like we met the other day and we did some cool roller stuff, but how do you get around that? And that was the whole thing. Is like, well, that was the whole thing. Is like, because the Nano hasn't been out for a while, and I know a little bit about DJI tech. So like, how do you shoot without the thing that you're supposed to shoot with? Because I had the mics arrive, but now I've got the DJI mics, but and the iPhone. If anybody knows about the CVO setup, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, Harley-Davidson. If I am, please forgive me. But the setup on the Harley to hold your iPhone is only, I think it's only like a 4.3. So when I tried to turn it the other way, it just didn't work for like a 16.9. And shooting the opposite direction, when you flip the camera and go back and forth. So there's really not much for me to, as a viewer, for me to edit this together to look at. Like, it's just not that exciting. And I'm not going to try to one-hand the Harley with my phone, and like that's not going to work. So you don't have your camera that shows up. What do you do? And so the solution to that was like, okay, let me think about how do I turn this into like a cool like photo video shoot opportunity where I don't have a camera but other people do. And that's essentially where all the budget went to, was like hiring a small crew to like figure this out.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing, was like, and stuff like that happens. And so,
I mean, but that's so little on the grand scale of things.
Right. But that was kind of the thing, was like, I was hoping to hit the ground with that. I'm like, okay, cool. I
Yeah.
got this new DJI Nano, like, and it's new tech, and it's still kind of YouTube space is like popping talking about it, but like, okay, well, that sucks. Now what do I do? And so like being able to turn that into the idea of like, oh, let's make it a cool promo marketing thing where we do something with other people, that's what that was.
And what was the best surprise experience?
I'll be honest, dude, literally meeting you, because I don't know you. We've never met before. You pulled up at, Bob's a Big Boy, and I just started talking, and like that was, and because you and I we met up the other day. Was it
Sunday
morning? Yeah. And so we had conversations that led to other conversations with other people. And because of that, now I'm having conversations about going to Austin, which that's a whole story. That's the original story with Timed Adventures. I was actually
got some great shots.
I was stranded in Austin. Yeah. I was stranded in Austin for like 8 months.
Yeah.
So originally with the whole Timed Adventure thing.
I mean, your shirt's
I know, yeah, literally coat. I wore it today. This is the good luck charm. We're actually going back to Austin, make some stuff happen. So, yeah, man, I'm not saying that to blow smoke up your butt, but that's just kind of one of those things where this was a great unexpected thing to happen. And I think a lot of stuff coming out with that, because you want to tell people what I pitched you on like lightly the other day, the idea.
Oh no! Please pitch it.
Sí,
los gringos.
Los gringos fantásticos.
But the catch with that is, well, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So no, that I've always wanted to do something in Latin culture, because if you know anything about marketing and like where we are in the world with like different stations and streamers and everything like that, it's the one market I think that is still really, really untapped. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's so much to do there that hasn't been done, that we've just been doing in the United States for so long. Right. So I've always wanted to do something with Latin culture, South America, Mexico, all around the world, to kind of have like a fun travel adventure comedy idea with it. I think it's massive. So the idea that I pitched you real quick was Los Gringos Fantásticos. It's two guys that ride around. One of them, like me, I can speak Spanish and have
poquito,
estudio en la escuela por 4 años, pero 1994. It was a long time ago, but I have the tongue for it, but I don't actually can't speak it fluently. So to team up with somebody who does speak it very well, but I'm just like the white guy, and so we would go around and just do kind of like fun adventures, helping out communities, working with motorcycle companies or other travel adventure companies, just going around the world doing good deeds as these two people. But the idea of that. Just that terminology, the wording, Los Gringos Fantásticos.
It's a great word,
it. And I think I got it from one of my favorite films is Grosse Point Blank. And so there's a song in there by the Los Fabulous Cadillacs, Matador.
Matador.
You know Matador? It's one of my favorite songs. I was like, no, yeah. And so like it's somehow that stuck in my mind for a long time. I was like, wait a second. But yeah, I've had ideas in my head for comedy about a long time. I was like, what do you do with a guy? If you give me like a sentence to translate in Google, I can speak it. You would think that I'm a natural native speaker, but I'm not. Yeah. So I just love the comedy aspect of like, what if we took a guy who went around the world and somebody who could? Yeah. So It's loose. We're working on it. It's still loose.
It's still working on it. No, it's a great idea.
Yeah. So.
It's a great idea. Websites, Instagrams, where can people find you?
Anointedforsuccess.com. It's got all the IG, YouTube links on there like that. So you can go there. Instagram, AFSUCCES at AFSUCCES. So yeah, but
and then Instagram, everything else is the same.
Yeah, it's all there. So yeah, I'm also on LinkedIn. I think it's Matthew James Hansen. That's what I'm so unprofessionally prepared for this morning. we were supposed to be on. We were supposed to be on the ride. Yeah.
So. Yeah, we were supposed to be on the side of the road in 90-degree weather. For some reason, we thought that was going to be a genius idea.
You know what we should do? Yeah. We were going to be behind the mountain, so it's cooler up there. So in our
100 degrees is 100 degrees.
With respect, we would have been a little bit cooler up at the top of ACH, but yeah,
not as cool as this.
But yeah.
Well, you're a very cool dude.
Awesome, yeah.
We knocked out 51 minutes.
That's amazing.
Shout outs to
Harley-Davidson, Alpinestars, Heath. Heath is at Harley-Davidson, actually. He was formerly at Alpinestars. He's not there anymore. But big shout out to him.
And to Bike Shed Coasters.
Bike Shed, yes.
Support to them. Follow us at Ride Boundless, rideboundless.com, Google Ride Boundless, and I am Ride Boundless. Like, it's so pretty cool.
And I just want to say to you personally, man, thank you so much for your time. You didn't have to do this. It was great meeting you, but this is just an amazing, I hope, a friendship that continues for a very long time, man.
Not a problem.
Absolutely, man.
Not a problem. Let's show that merchandise. Boom, boom. Ride Boundless. Until next time. And ride safe, everybody.
Thanks so much, guys.